Okay. So in a quantitative research is expressed in numbers and graph. What does it mean in numbers and graph? The quantitative research, we collect data through the questionnaire, and all the questionnaires are structured questionnaire. My first question may be, what is your education background? So there are three options: science, commerce, arts. My next question, what is your gender? There may be two options, male and female. So in a quantitative research, we uh, collect data in the form of numbers and present in a graphical form, and it used to test or confirm theories and assumptions. The second theory, the qualitative research basically, in a qualitative research, the qualitative research is expressed in words. It is used to qualitative research is expressed in words. It is used to understand concept, thoughts, or experience. This type of research enables you to gather in-depth insight on topics that are not well understood. If we want to know in detail information about a particular buyer, particular patient, particular individual person, then we should conduct the qualitative research, because qualitative research we can understand the concept, thought, or experiences of a particular individual or group of people. And this research can be conducted through interview, and the type of questions, open-ended questions, observations describes in words, literature review, and explore concepts and theories. So this is about the qualitative research. In a qualitative research, basically, we do not use any statistical tools and technique. And this third method, that is mixed method research design, when we combine both the research, quantitative research and as well as qualitative research, okay, then it becomes the mixed method research. If you want to conduct research and you want to include both quantitative research and qualitative research, then you can use mixed method research. Now, the basic difference of the quantitative and qualitative research: the quantitative research focus on testing theories and hypotheses. So we should be very clear about the quantitative research and qualitative research, okay, because in a qualitative research we want to focus on exploring ideas, formulating a theories or a hypothesis. If we want to develop something new concept or some new theories, then we should go for qualitative research. It is good. But in case of the quantitative research, we just testing the theory. In a social science research, generally people use quantitative research, and in a quantitative research, basically we test the theory. If we want to know the service quality of any service organization, like health institutions and universities, educational institutions, restaurants, and the other service organization, then we can use SERQUAL method, service quality method. And through this service quality method, we can measure the service quality of the particular organization, whether it is a health institution, hospitals, education institutions, universities, colleges, railways, banks, okay. So whatever the service quality, we can measure through this quantitative research. And the second difference, analyzed through statistical technique. So we should be very clear about the statistical techniques, because we have large number of statistical tools and techniques to analyze our data, like one sample t-test, independent t-test, pair test, analysis of variance, analysis, the factorial ANOVA, ANCOVA, repeated measures ANOVA, Mann-Whitney U test, Wilcox-Con rank sign test, Friedman ANOVA, Kruskal-Wallis test, chi-square test, regression analysis, factor analysis, cluster analysis, conjoint analysis, multidimensional scaling, correspondence scaling, mediation, moderation, and some other advanced techniques such as structural equation modeling. So it means all the statistical tool and technique we use only quantitative research. We do not use any statistical tool and technique in a qualitative research. Okay, so we should be very clear if we are using the qualitative research, it means we cannot apply the statistical tools, any statistical tool and technique. Is it clear? So we should be very careful when we should be very careful that if we are using quantitative technique, we use all statistical tool and technique to analyze our data. This is the biggest difference between the qualitative research and quantitative research. In a qualitative research, we do not use any statistical tool and techniques such as t-test, pair test, repeated measures, ANOVA, chi-square test, Mann-Whitney test. We do not use any statistical tool and technique in a qualitative research. This is the big difference, and the mainly expressed in numbers and graphs. What does it mean? The numbers, basically we collect our data in a quantitative research. In a the qualitative research, basically we collect our data in the form of number, because the questions in the quantitative research clause ended questions, and the qualitative research we use open ended question. So first of all, we should understand the difference between the clause ended and open-ended question. What does it mean? Clause-ended question. So in a quantitative research, we use the quantitative research. This is my quantitative research. Okay, quantitative research. So in a quantitative research, we use the questions clause-ended question. Clause-ended question. What does it mean? Clause-ended questions. Clause-ended questions means when we give choice to every question, like what is your, my first question, what is your education background? So there are options. The one option, second, so here the choices, it is specific, means you tick only one, and the coding for science is one, and coding for commerce is two, coding for arts is three. If you are ticking one, it means you belong to science category. So here the question is clause ended question. You do not have any choice to include your option, but in a open ended, the qualitative research, we ask open-ended question. What does it mean, open-ended question? Open-ended question, we can ask any question and ask to the respondent, please describe in 50 words. Okay, my question, my open-ended question, what do you feel about online teaching? Okay, online teaching, online teaching. You describe in a 50 words. You, so open-ended question, you have express your opinion, your your perception, your attitude. So we can, in an open-ended question, we give option to express individual person to his beliefs, his ideas, his perception, learning, motivation, attitude. Now he can describe all these things. But in a clause-ended questions, we the respondents do not have choice to include any option. So this is the big difference between the qualitative and quantitative research. So this type of data we are the numbers, because in a SPSS sheet, generally we enter the number. If someone belongs to science, so we will not write the science, we will write the one. we will write 2, we will write 1. So we will enter numbers in a statistical software like SPSS. But in a open-ended question, we get response in the form of words or paragraphs. So this is the basic difference between the qualitative and the quantitative research. The next is the respondents are very few. Close-ended questions they require many respondents. If you want to conduct survey, you need 300, 400 people to conduct this survey. But here in case of the qualitative research, you do not need large number of people. Okay, you just you can take so you can take the okay. So this is the basic difference. Now the qualitative research, how do we conduct qualitative research? How can we collect the data for qualitative research? So basically there are 3 methods to collect the data in a qualitative research. One is interview, second is the observation, and third is the third method, that is documents. So basically we use 3 methods to conduct the qualitative research. One is interview, second observations, and third documents. Okay, now interview, the purpose of qualitative research to know the in-depth information about the particular individual or a particular person. Okay, now second method, to just observe, we observe the what is happening. A doctor can observe the patient, how the particular patient behave. Okay, and he can understand about the particular patient. To just take the interview, he can ask so many questions from the patient. So in a qualitative research, the doctors can also conduct the qualitative research just to taking interview. What is the purpose of interview? To know the depth about the particular person, beliefs, experiences, perceptions. And third is through documents, we can through documents we can get information. So there are 3 methods. There are 3 methods of qualitative data collection. One is through interview, second observation, and documents. So dear participants, I will answer your question at the end of the session. So the end of the session means queries. So I will give you 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, now the second method, the qualitative research. The qualitative research, that response about pupils' Hello, am I audible? Can you see, please, due to some internet connectivity? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I was talking about the first method of qualitative data collection, that is interview. In a qualitative open-ended questions, we can prepare open-ended questions to know about the in-depth response about pupils' experience, perception, opinion, feelings, and knowledge. Second is the field works. through field work we can conduct the we conduct field work. Due to Android वाला Hello, please. Can you inform me? Can you hear me? Please switch off your videos. My humble request to all the participants, please. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you. Due to so, dear participants, I was talking about the okay. So please switch off your videos. My humble request to all the participants. Please do not open your videos. Please switch off your videos and audios. Okay, thank you. So there are three methods to conduct the the collection of qualitative data. One is the one method that is the quality the interview. Second method, the first is there are three methods. One for data collection in the qualitative research. One is the one method that is interview. Through interview we can understand the in-depth response about people's experience, opinion, and perception and feeling. Second way, the observation. Through observe we can observe the thing in a field work, description of activities, observation of behaviors, actions, conversations, interpersonal interactions, organizational or community process, or any other aspect of observable human experience. Now the documents, through document we can conduct the qualitative research, the written material and other document, program records, memoranda and correspondence, official publications and reports, personal diaries, letters, artistic works and photographs, and written response to open-ended survey. So there are three methods to collect the data for qualitative research. Now after this, there are some methods. The methods of qualitative research. One, that is the narrative research, phenomenological research, grounded theory, and ethnography and case studies. So there are many other methods also to conduct the qualitative research, but I am checking here a few. So the narrative research, phenomenological research, grounded theory, ethnography, and case study. So qualitative research can be conducted on individual person and as well as group of people. Okay. So we should keep in mind, we conduct qualitative research for individual person and as well as the group of people. So the first type is the narrative research. The narrative research, it focus on studying an individual person. The researcher becomes the interpreter of the individual stories. Researchers write narratives about experiences of individuals, describe a life experience and telling a story. So if you want to conduct the research of a particular person or individual person, then you can conduct the narrative research, and you are a interpreter or narrator. You narrate the story of individual person, and you can form you can present your research in the form of documents. Means you can write the book of a particular personality. If you want to conduct research on APJ Abdul Kalam Azad, then you can do the narrative research. Okay. Now you can present in the form of book, or you can present your research in the form of videos or movie. So this is in the narrator, you narrate in your opinion. Then second is phenomenological research. Again, it is belong to the individual person. It focus on complete, accurate, and articulate description and understanding of a particular human experiences. How the particular person perceive the information of related to particular subject or particular phenomena. The same phenomena perceived by two person differently. Okay, so the through phenomenological research, we can understand depth knowledge about the how the particular individual person perceive information about the particular subject. Now, grounded theory. When we do not have any literature review, because in a quantitative research, we have large number of research paper to conduct the quantitative research. But in a qualitative research, in case you want to do something newer, which is not so I will take your question at the end of the session. So okay, so in case of the grounded theory, in a grounded theory, when we do not have enough literature review and we want to conduct the new research which not earlier addressed by the other authors, so we use grounded theory. It focuses on where there is no pre-existing theory. Now you can develop your theory, you can develop your hypothesis or expectation of findings, but rather permits a theory to emerge directly from the data, and that is theory is grounded in the data. Okay, so in the grounded theory, if we want to do new work and earlier very few people done this type of work, then we can conduct the grounded theory, because it starts from zero. Ground means it starts from zero, and we do not have sufficient literature review to understand the particular phenomena. So we are developing the theory. Then the next is ethnography. It is related to group of people. We are conducting the research on a particular community, particular race, particular in a rural place or in a metro also we can conduct the research. It focuses on social interactions, behaviors, and perception that occurs within cultural or social group, teams, organizations, and communities. If we do not know about the tribal people who are living in a hill stations, so we do not know how do they interact to each other, the tradition, their culture, their subculture, value systems, we do not know much about. So we can conduct the this ethnography research. Through ethnography research, it focuses on social interactions, behavior, and perception that occurs within cultural or social group, teams, organizations, and communities. Now, why the people in a rural area, they are not motivated to get the vaccination? Why they are not interested? So there may be some problem. We can go there, we understand the lifestyle of the people, group of people, so their behavior, interpersonal skills. So in an ethnography, we can understand the cultural subculture value of a particular group of people. Then fifth is case study. It case study we also conduct in a the case study we conduct in quantitative research also, but here we can conduct case study in a qualitative research also. In a qualitative research, the purpose of the case study to focus on very close, in depth, and detailed examination of a particular case. For example, a case study in a medical science may examine a specific patient a doctor treated, and a case study in business might study a particular firm strategy. So these are the methods of the qualitative research. Now now we should be very clear that we do not use any statistical tool and technique in a qualitative research. It is very clear. Now how to write our qualitative research paper, the qualitative research format? First of all, we should write the introduction, an introduction statement of the problem, including we describe, including the power, oppression, discrimination, issues, addresses, existing literature about the problem, deficiencies in the literature, and relevance of the study for audience. Then we should write purpose of the study. Why are you conducting this particular qualitative research? What is the purpose? You should define your purpose in a 50 or 60 words. Then research questions, then procedures, philosophical assumptions or worldview, qualitative research, role of the researcher, data collection procedure. So these are the steps we follow in a qualitative research. Then how did you data analysis, data analyze, strategies for validating findings, proposed narrative structure, anticipated ethical issues. So this is a very small idea about the qualitative research. Now, qualitative research, can we use software to analyze the qualitative research? Yes, because in a qualitative research, our data in the form of words, in a paragraph, pictures, video. So how do we analyze this type of data? So we can use, there are many software to analyze the qualitative data. One is Equate, Atlas.ti, Cassandra, Client, Cat, Compedium, Dendus, Elan, KHCoder, MaxQDA, NVivo, QDA Miner. So most commonly used or user-friendly software, one is Atlas and another is NVivo. So if you want to conduct your qualitative research, whether you are going to conduct your research, narrative research, phenomenological research, grounded theory research, or other case study research, then you can use these software. So I prefer to use, you can use NVivo or Atlas software to analyze your data. Okay. Now after that, this is they are not free. Basically, they are paid software. So NVivo also paid software. You can get 1 month free, but all are paid software. So now the second is the quantitative research, what should be the format of quantitative research? Generally, in social science, we conduct the quantitative research. Quantitative research means we prepare a structured questionnaire, and in our questionnaire, questions may be 30, 40, 50, and we distribute these questions to the respondents. Respondents may be students, maybe a retail owner, maybe the business people, maybe the wholesalers. So the here in a quantitative research, we prepare a structured questionnaire and distribute. And after receiving the questionnaire, we enter all the data in a SPSS, and SPSS take data in a numeric form. Numeric means we, and for example, the question is, what is your education background? So there are three options. It's a structured question: science 1, commerce 2, arts 3. So if someone belongs to science, so in a SPSS, we enter only number here 1. So we do not use words in a quantitative research. We use words in a qualitative research. We analyze words in a qualitative research, but quantitative research, we do not analyze the words. We analyze only numbers. Though, what should be the format of the qualitative research? The format of the qualitative research, that is the one, the method, that is the introduction. We should write the introduction about our research topic or research paper, statement of the problem, issues. We should define what existing literature saying about the particular topic, then deficiency in literature, relevancy of the study to audience. And second, we should write the purpose of the study. Why are you going to conduct the quantitative research? What is the purpose? So we should define the purpose of a quantitative research, because unless we define our purpose, so we should not conduct the research. We should tell we are conducting this research because we want to address these issues. So in the third step, research question. Through literature review, after reviewing the literature, we should identify some question, and we want to give answer of this question through the quantitative research. And then we review of the literature, theory may be included. Then second chapter, we should prepare the review of literature. Third, methods, types of research design. Basically, we use survey and experiments. Survey means descriptive research. It can be divided into two: cross-sectional research and longitudinal research. And experimental research, again, there are four types of experimental research: pre-experimental research, quasi-experimental research, and statistical control research. Okay, now we define the population, sample, and participants in a research methods of quantitative research. Then data collection instruments, variables, and materials. Data collection instrument, we should be very clear about the data collection instrument. Data in a basically there are two types of research. One is science, we conduct research, and in social science. So in a science, if we want to measure the temperature of a particular person, then we use the instrument, that is the name of this instrument is the thermometer. Through thermometer, we can measure the temperature of the particular patient, like 101 degree Fahrenheit or 98.7 degree Fahrenheit. So it's a research, it's an instrument to measuring the particular phenomena. But in a social science research, all the social science research based on the human behavior, all the social science research based on human behavior, and human behavior not consistent. You cannot predict human behavior, because it is very difficult to predict the human behavior. It is very dynamic in nature. Whatever am I saying today, it is not that I will say tomorrow. So the human behavior, it is very difficult. So, and we cannot measure the human behavior to just ask one question. We should ask so many questions to understand the concept. For in case of a medical science, if you are going to with doctor, and you are for example, I am a patient, so doctor cannot tell me what disease I have. Unless I give these symptoms, sir, I have headache, I have body, I am feeling cold, and the temperature is very high. So on the basis of these symptoms, doctor can tell you may have some a fever, viral fever. So same as in a social science research, to know the perception of the particular perception, a particular individual, we frame some questions to know the particular phenomena. So if we want to know the satisfaction of the particular person or customer, so here we cannot develop only single question to measure the satisfaction. So there may be 3 4 question related to satisfaction. My first question maybe, are you satisfied with this doctor? So your, if you say yes, I'm satisfied, will you recommend to others to this doctor? If you say yes, it means you are satisfied. Will you revisit again? If you are saying yes, it means you are satisfied with the particular doctor. So for measuring the satisfaction, we use questions because the answer of the patient should not be contradictory. If you say yes, I am satisfied with this doctor, but I will not recommend to others, and I will not go again. So here the it's not the, okay, it's a problem. The voice breaking, I think there is some please mute your mic and videos. Okay, so the and then the data analysis procedure, we use the statistical statistical tools and technique to analyze our data, and then anticipated ethical issues in the study, preliminary studies or pilot study we conduct in a the experiment quantitative research. So the idea about the research design, I have shared you one book, a research design by Creswell. So you please go through this book. It's a very good book to understand the concept of research design. Okay. Now there are some softwares like SPSS, AMOS. We can software. Hello, sir. Can you hear me properly? Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, how to analyze our data through software? So there are many software. The SPSS, this is the best software, but it is paid software. So the SPSS, through SPSS software, we can understand the, well, okay. Now through SPSS, we can analyze our data. The second is AMOS software, Process Macro, Smart PLS, all are paid software. R, Python, SAS, eViews, Gretel. We have large number of statistical software to analyze our quantitative data. So this is about the small idea about quantitative and qualitative research. So the basic difference, the qualitative research and quantitative research. In a qualitative research, our questionnaire, open-ended question, one question, not in a sequential manner. If I am taking interview in a qualitative research, my question, my first question, for example, I am asking to the particular person. So second question depend on the answer of my first question. So there is no sequencing in a qualitative research, but in a quantitative research, we have structured questionnaire, pre-planned, we prepare all the questions and then we distribute questions among the respondents. Now this is about the quantitative research. the measurement and scaling. Now in a level of measurement, basically I told you we have large number of statistical tools and technique. So we can, so I have shared the book. So okay, so in a level of measurement, if we are conducting any research or we are writing any research paper, so we make our question either nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. Because it's a, when you are preparing the questionnaire, you are framing your questionnaire, then it is very important to know the concept of nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, or ratio scale. Because once we prepare our questionnaire, then we can use particular statistical tool and technique. If we have prepared all the questions in a nominal scale, then we can use only chi-square test. So we have large number of statistical tool and technique, but which statistical tool and technique we should use, it is very important. So if we are collecting our data in a ratio scale, then what type of statistical tool and technique we use? For what are the assumptions of the regression analysis? What type of question we should frame to use the regression analysis? If I want to know the difference in 3 or more levels, then which particular statistical tool technique I use? If I want to compare the two group, then which particular statistical tool and technique I use? So the every statistical tool and technique has its own assumptions. Like we have large number of questions, a large number of statistical tools, one sample t-test. If my data in a categorical data, then I can use one sample Wilcox-Cohen rank sign test. If my data continuous, then I can use one sample t-test. If my data in a, there are two variable, dependent and independent variable. If one is the dependent variable, that is metric, and independent variable non-metric, then which statistical tool I use. So it is depend on the types of the level of measurement. So I'm just explaining here the level of measurement. Now through this, there are 4 types. We can prepare our 4 questions, either nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and the ratio scale. So what is interval scale and how to prepare our question in a interval scale? So we should check it. Okay, so the question is nominal. How to prepare our questions in a nominal scale? So this is my first question, nominal question, nominal variable. Please see it. There are 2 or more categories in a nominal scale question, like male or female, dead or alive, or the it's a dichotomous. Now the more choices here, whether someone is belong to science background, commerce background, or arts background. So, and then how to prepare our nominal scale question? So we should prepare our question like this. What is your education background? So there are 3 options. One is science, commerce, and arts. So if you belong to commerce, then you will tick 2. If you belong to arts, then you belong to then you will tick the option 3. So here the science, commerce, arts, in a nominal scale, the data, the for example in my class, so the is how do I use the statistics? One is equal and second is does not equal. So in my class, the students, number of students may be same, equal, means science students 30, commerce students 30, and arts students 30. Or does not equal, means 30 students science and 20 students commerce and 40 students arts. So there may be this situation. So statistics use equal and does not equal, and we present our data in a frequency or percentage. So I told you initially we present our data in a graphical form. So we can present in my class. So I can present my students the 20% students belongs to science background students, okay, and 30% students belongs to arts, and 50% students belong to the commerce background, 50%. So I can present my data either frequency, means I can give the actual number, or percentage. I can present my data in a percentage also. So here this is about the, so please do not write anything in a chat box. You ask all the question at the end of the session, okay, please. So this is the nominal variable. I will give you 15 minutes to ask the question. The second type is ordinal type of question, the same as nominal, but the categories have a logical order. Or in a particular class, if I am taking best 3 students, so best one means I can make the rank. The rank one means the person who obtained 80%, second rank holder means the 78%, and third rank holder 75%. So here it's a rank order, basically order. So there is a logical order, first, second, and third. So this is about the ordinal variable. And we use Likert scale. Likert scale, basically it's a ordinal scale, but sometimes people treat it as a interval scale. But theoretically, ideally, Likert scale ordinal variable. So how to prepare my question in an ordinal scale if I want to use the ordinal scale? So my question is, I would recommend this product to my friends. One is strongly disagree, second disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. It means you can I would recommend this product to my friends. Strongly disagree, you can give your opinion out of the 5. You may agree this statement, you may disagree. There is no right and wrong answer, it's your opinion, okay. And then the third type of question we prepare in an interval variable. Interval equal intervals on variable equal difference in the property being measured. The difference between the 6 and 8 is equivalent to the difference between 30, 13 and 5. Like thermometer. In a thermometer, if we want to measure the temperature through thermometer, so the temperature, it is interval scale. Temperature, the difference between the 80 degree Fahrenheit minus 70 degree Fahrenheit equal to the 60 degree Fahrenheit minus 50 degree Fahrenheit. So what is the difference? 10 degree difference. So in an interval scale, the difference, how to prepare our interval type of questions. So this is the interval variable. How likely is it that you recommend this company to friend or colleagues? So here I can prepare my question, my question in a interval scale, not likely to very likely. It's a 11-point scale. You can take 1 to 11 also. It is not necessary that we should give 1-0 coding for the not likely and 10 for very likely. You can frame it in an 11-point, like 1, 2, 3, and till 11 you can give the options. And here we can use mean and standard deviation also, this type of question. Now the next is the next type, the ratio variable, the same as interval, but the ratio of the scores on the scale must also make sense. Like this type of question we can prepare, and the variable start from 0, like height start from 0, weight start from 0, income of a person start from 0. Okay, so we can measure the anxiety level also. So 0 to 100 scale. So if someone score 16 on an anxiety scale, means that the person is in reality twice as anxious as someone as score 8. If my the anxiety score 8 and someone score is 16, it means I am half anxiety than the other. So the ratio scale question, like age again, it's a type of the ratio scale question. Sometimes people make it in the form of nominal scale, like but if you are creating the age like the 10 to 20 years, 20 to 30 years, 30 to 40 years, then it is a nominal scale question. It is not the ratio scale question. But when you are checking the exact value of the particular person, then it is the ratio variable. So here we can use mean, median, mode also in this type of data. So there are two types of data. One is interval, and another is the one is categorical data, and another is, now this is the data set. You can see here there are nominal and ordinal. This type data known as non-metric data, non-metric data, or categorical data, categorical data. And this another metric data, or metric data, and other name is continuous data. So generally in a research paper, you will find two terms, either metric data and non-metric data. If I'm talking non-metric data, it means I'm talking about nominal scale questions. If I'm saying metric data, metric means my question either in interval or the ratio scale question. If categorical data means nominal or ordinal data, and continuous means interval or ratio data. So there will be two terms, metric data. You can prepare your question in a metric form or non-metric form. So generally, if we prepare our 70-80% question in a metric form, then we can use all statistical tool and technique almost. Like we can use one sample t-test, independent t-test, pair test, ANOVA, repeated measures ANOVA, Mann-Whitney test, Wilcox-Conrad sign test. We have large number of statistical tool and technique. But if we are preparing all the question in a nominal scale, we do not have enough statistical tool and technique to measure the variables. So we should not. So it's my suggestion to the students. So please take some questions in a nominal scale question, like the demographic profile question. The demographic profile question you should take in a nominal scale, but your maximum question should be metric form. Then you can use the multiple regression analysis, you can use exploratory factor analysis, discriminant analysis, logistic regression. So you have more option to analyze your data. So we should keep in mind to when we are framing the questions. So I will not use every time nominal and ordinal, interval or ratio. I will use two terms, non-metric data and metric data. If I say metric, it means I am talking about either interval type of question or ratio type of question. Okay. If I'm saying non-metric data, it means I'm talking about nominal scale type of data. So there are two terms, and I told you, every statistical tool and technique has its own assumptions. So if I want to apply the one sample t-test, so we should understand what is the condition of one sample t-test, how to apply one sample t-test, what is the condition of one sample t-test, and what are the other assumptions of one sample t-test. Okay, so there are three types of data, like univariate technique. We can measure, or we can use the three types of technique to analyze our data. One is the one method, that is univariate technique, bivariate technique, and multivariate technique. It means in a quantitative data, we can analyze our quantitative data either by using univariate technique, bivariate technique, multivariate technique. So first of all, we should understand the difference between the univariate technique, bivariate technique, and multivariate technique. So what is the difference? The three. So in a univariate technique, when we take the two variables, when we in a bivariate technique means we analyze two variables at a time. If we are analyzing only single variable, I just want to measure the height or weight of the students in a particular class, then I will use the univariate technique, because here variable is one. If I analyze weight and weight and height, weight and height, then it becomes bivariate, because here we are using two variable. Multivariate means more than two. Weight, we are measuring weight, height, and age also. There are three variables. So univariate means we analyze only one variable. Bivariate means we analyze two variables. Multivariate means we analyze three variables at a time. Now, so what are the statistical tool and technique for analyzing univariate variable, bivariate, and multivariate? Okay. Now there are two things. One is the variable. There are two types of variable. One is dependent variable, and second is IV, means independent variable. So particular statistical tool and technique depend on the types of variable. If my dependent variable in a metric form, independent variable metric form, then I can use only bivariate or simple regression analysis. So the particular statistical tool and technique depend on the type of data we collected. So if my dependent variable may be there are two types. One dependent variable may be metric, dependent variable may be non-metric data. Okay. Same as this also, independent variable also metric and non-metric. So it's a condition of bivariate when we are checking two variable, one dependent variable and another independent variable. In a multivariate means the one dependent variable, one or more, and one or more independent variable. Again, we will see if my dependent variable, the dependent variable in a metric form and this independent variables also in metric form, then which statistical tool and technique I should use. So again, the statistical tool and technique depend on the type of data collected or type of questions we prepared. So in a univariate technique, for example, if I prepared my question, my dependent variable in a non-metric or ordinal type of data, then I can use either one sample median test or another the one. There are many univariate technique. So one sample Wilcox-Con rank signed test. Okay. So if my dependent variable is a metric, then I can use one sample t-test. Same as the bivariate also. In a bivariate, the bivariate technique, there are two types of technique in a bivariate. So bivariate means we are taking two variables at a time. Now you just see this graph. So this is the bivariate. Now there are four conditions. The one is when the data, both the data metric. Second, the data metric and non-metric. Then metric and non-metric. Second condition, non-metric and metric, and both non-metric. So here the bivariate means we are analyzing two variables. So in a horizontal dependent variable, we take the symbol of dependent variable y and independent variable x. Okay. And independent vertically, we can see the independent variable. So there are two conditions when dependent variable the metric form, when dependent variable in a metric form and independent variable also metric form, means both the variable, both the questions in a metric form. The example of this: sales and the advertising expenses. So sales depend on advertising expenses, and we know that as we increase the advertising expenses, sales also increase. There is a positive correlation. So in this case, if we want to predict sales on the basis of advertising expenses, then we will use simple regression analysis or the bivariate regression analysis. But the condition is both the questions should be either interval or ratio scale question. If both the question in a ratio scale, then I can use bivariate regression equation. Now the second condition of that is the second case, the dependent variable y, the dependent variable metric means metric, and independent variable non-metric. Non-metric means two categories at least. So the dependent variable metric and this is non-metric, then we can use independent t-test or analysis of variance. So independent t-test or analysis of variance. So what is this? So for example, if we want to compare the perception level male participants and female participants, okay, male and female, or we want to know the performance in a particular class, whether female students performed well or male students perform well. So what will we do? We will take a sample and take the mean value of the male students marks and mean value of the female students mark, and then we compare. So when our objective comparing two groups, then we use independent t-test. But what is the condition of independent t-test? The condition of independent t-test, the dependent variable, because performance here, the marks, so it should be metric form. Or we can take another example to explain the independent t-test. For example, we want to know whether gender discrimination in the society or not. So there are two hypotheses. The one is null hypothesis and another is alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis, we always assume that there is no significant difference between the two. So both the groups or the two categories equal. There is no significant difference in the two groups. Now you can see here for example, can I say there is a gender discrimination in the society? So I cannot say unless I have data. So my hypothesis, if I am saying, it's my hypothesis, my statement, I am saying in a private sector, female faculty members are getting less salary than the male faculty members. It's my hypothesis. If someone asks me, so how can you say this? So I can say, sir, I have conducted one research study, or I can conduct this study. I can prove it. How? So I will take I will take observations, means 20 in my study, 20 female faculty members and 20 male faculty members. Okay. So I will ask each female faculty member salary, and I'm taking mean, means I'm adding all the salary obtained by the female teachers and divided by 20. So I will get the mean salary, that is 40,000. Okay, mean salary. And I am taking 20 male teachers. I am adding all the teachers' salary and divided by the 20 to getting the mean value. Okay, so mean value. For example, this is the 50,000. So there is a difference. There is a difference. So if this difference is significant, then we can say there is a gender discrimination in the society. So if we want to compare two groups, then we can use the independent t-test, but the condition is this variable should be dependent variable should be my question. This question should be either an interval scale question or ratio scale question. And second is there are at least two categories in means in an independent t-test there are two mutually exclusive categories. I can compare on the basis of gender, on the basis of region, rural, urban, public sector, private sector. If I want to compare the two groups, then I can use independent t-test. So limitation of independent t-test, it can compare only the two groups. If we want to compare more than two groups, if we want to compare more than two groups, then what should we do? Then we use analysis of variance. So if we analysis of variance means we are taking three, we are comparing the three groups. This one is the non-metric. In a medical science, the doctors, the five patient doctors are giving 2.5 ml dose to the five patients. Okay, and the 5 ml dose another five patient, and 7.5 ml dose to another five patient. So total number of patients 15 patients, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 15. So 5 patients they are getting the doctors are giving 2.5 ml dose and measuring the fever or whatsoever. So now they can measure the fever of the patient. So if the here we are comparing the several several categories. So if through analysis of variance we can identify if 5 ml dose sufficient to improve the health of the patient, then why should we give the 7.5 ml dose? It is not necessary that if we give the higher dose to the patient, then he will be good. So through when we compare several means, we should use the analysis of variance. Okay. Now this is about the independent t. So in independent t-test, the condition is the one dependent variable should be metric and another. Sometimes the third condition, the my question that is nominal scale question and another question that is the both the question categorical question is nominal scale question. Then like a yes or no. Sometimes we give two options which is mutually exclusive, yes, no, male, female, liked or disliked. Okay. So when both the variables categorical variable means this is non-metric and the independent variable also non-metric, then we can use chi-square test. Okay. For example, the fourth condition is the fourth condition when my one variable, the one variable that is y, that is non-metric means categorical variable, and this is metric variable, then we use the discriminant analysis. So this is about the bivariate technique. Now the the multivariate technique. So what is multivariate technique? We can see here there are two types of multivariate technique. The two types of multivariate technique means the one technique that is dependence technique and another interdependence technique. Multivariate means we are analyzing more than two variables at a time. So like the y that is dependent variable and the x1 independent variable and x2 another independent variable and this and so on. Okay, so there are two techniques. One is dependence technique. We can divide multivariate technique into two. One dependence technique and another interdependence technique. So first of all, we should understand the concept of dependence technique. What does it mean? In a case multivariate, as we know, multivariate means we use more than two variables at a time. More than two variables at a time means one variable, another second variable, third variable, fourth variable, more than two variable. When simultaneously we take more than two variable, this type of technique known as multivariate technique. And multivariate technique can be divided into two parts. One is dependence technique and another interdependence technique. Now there are the, and we can test the hypothesis also here. The first case is a dependence technique, that is multiple regression analysis. Initially, I told you every statistical tool and technique has its own assumptions, means the type of data. So for multiple regression analysis, what is the condition? The condition is only one dependent variable, only one dependent variable, and the dependent variable, that is dv dependent variable, it should be metric form. Metric means my question should be either interval or ratio scale question. If I'm not preparing my question interval or ratio scale and my question in nominal or ordinal scale, then I cannot use multiple regression analysis. The condition is the dependent variable and the all the variable in independent variable like x1, x2, x3, all should be metric form, means data should be interval or ratio scale data. If both the questions dependent and independent variables in the the metric data, then we can use multiple regression analysis. And here we can test the hypothesis. So because dependent variable, that is the one, for example, here the sales of commodity depend on the one variable, that is advertising expenses, and another variable that is independent, the discounts also, sales promotion scheme, and third the advertising expenses, discount, and the availability of the product also. So there are the many variables which influence the dependent variable sales. If you the increase the advertising expenses, people will be aware and they will buy the product. So here we can test the hypothesis for multiple regression analysis. So my first hypothesis would be there is no relationship between sales and advertising expenses. There is no impact of advertising expenses to increase the sales. But alternate hypothesis says no, there is a significant impact of advertising expenses or on sales. Same as I can frame my hypothesis discount. So we know that we give more discount, 10%, 20%, 30%. We give more discount, so we obtain more sales. So again, discount also influence the sales. We can develop the sales. The first hypothesis, null hypothesis, maybe there is no significant impact of discount on sales. But alternate hypothesis suggests no, discount also influence the sales, also increase the sales. So in a dependence technique, the purpose of the multiple regression analysis is to in a multiple regression analysis, we predict the dependent variable on the basis of some independent variables. Okay. Now the second condition is the second condition. So the second condition is discriminant analysis. If you want to apply the discriminant, what is the condition of discriminant analysis? In a discriminant analysis, there is one dependent variable and beta 1, x1 plus beta 2, x2. These are many independent variable. So what is the condition of my dependent variable should be non-metric, and all the variables, either x1, x2, x3, all independent variables should be metric. Means these questions we should prepare either in a ratio scale or interval scale question, and this should be nominal scale question. Means if we want to discriminate in a two group, the successful employee and unsuccessful employee. So on the basis of the score, there are some variables like sincerity of the employee and hardworking. There are many variables on the basis of we can discriminate the our employee, whether the employee is successful or not successful. Okay, so in a discriminant analysis, basically outcome variable would be the nominal in nature. If we are creating two group, then it is known as two group discriminant analysis. If we are creating three groups, means there are three groups of outcome variable, so it is known as three group discriminant analysis. So this is about the discriminant analysis. And another is the technique you can see here, the technique that is uh, logistic regression. In medical science also we use the logistic regression. So purpose of the it is same as the discriminant analysis, but when assumptions of the discriminant analysis not fulfilled, then we use logistic regression. And another difference in a logistic regression, when the outcome variable in a probabilistic in nature, whether the particular patient will survive or not survive. So this is non-metric variable, and there are many variables x1, x2, x3. There are maybe the lipid profile of the and the other score of the independent variable on the blood pressure, the sugar report. So these are variable. On the basis of independent variable, we can predict whether the chance of the patient high or low. So whether the patient will be survive or not. So we use when the outcome variable in a probabilistic its nature, then we use logistic regression. So generally in medical science research, we use logistic regression, same as conjoint, canonical, and structural equation modeling. The other type of technique, that is interdependence technique. This is the, now you are aware about the exploratory factor analysis, cluster analysis, conjoint analysis, and then the confirmatory factor analysis, multidimensional scaling, all are interdependence technique. What does it mean? In an interdependence technique, our purpose is not to find the relationship between the two variables. Our purpose in a case of exploratory, especially exploratory factor analysis. So what is the purpose of exploratory factor analysis? It is the purpose of the data reduction. The purpose of this is the data reduction. Data means variable. Data reduction. And second is summarization. What does it mean? So I am explaining it. So this is the data reduction and summarization. Why should we use exploratory factor analysis? Is it necessary to my research paper to apply the exploratory factor analysis? If it is necessary, then I should use this statistical tool and technique. So every statistical tool and technique, I told, if it is necessary, then we should use. The purpose of the data reduction means the variable. For example, we are taking 50 questions, 50 questions in our research paper to analyze the particular phenomena. And the 50 questions we have taken from the previous study or previous researches and previous researches. So the 5 questions from one research paper, 10 questions from another research question, and we want to find the factors, the important factors. So this exploratory factor analysis will reduce. So it will reduce the number of variables. So the 50 question, initially we are taking 50 questions. So through factor analysis, it will reduce, and these 20 questions are relevant to our study. And this factor analysis, 30 questions will remove from our analysis. And we want to identify the factors, important factor to measure the phenomena. So what are the factors of the employee satisfaction? If we want to know what are the factors affecting the performance of the employee, or the purpose of the factor analysis to reduce the large number of questions into few, and then we club same nature of questions into few factors like F1, F2, F3, F4. So there are some questions. The question number 1, 2, I club all the 5 questions into the factor 1, and 5 question in factor 2, 6 question in factor 3, 4 question in factor 4. So purpose is to identifying the factors, though after the it's a data reduction, and summarization means we will give the name of these factors. We will give name all these factors, and then after conducting the factor analysis, then we will identify which one is DV and which one in IV. Then further we can use dependence technique. We can use independent t-test, we can use analysis of variance, we can use multiple regression analysis. But here its purpose to just reduce the large number of questions into few, and then further after conducting the exploratory factor analysis, we can mm, use these variables. Okay, now this is about the exploratory factor analysis or the interdependence technique. So the purpose, why am I talking about why am I talking about these dependence and interdependence technique, bivariate technique or univariate? My intent is when we are preparing the questions in our research paper or thesis, we should be careful that which type of question we are making. Sometimes what happens, we prepare all the questions in a nominal scale, and we want to apply multiple regression analysis, we want to apply structural equation modeling, we want to apply exploratory factor analysis, so we cannot do it. So when you are writing a research paper, you go through some research paper, how did the other authors prepare the questions, so you should take the hint and which statistical tools and technique they used. So we cannot use all statistical tools and technique for the nominal scale type of question. So if we want to compare, if my the objective to compare several groups, then I should use ANOVA, and I can compare through ANOVA, and then I should prepare my questions. The one question should be dependent variable question, should be in a metric form, and independent variable should be non-metric. Okay, there are 3 categories. Now this is about the because before applying any statistical and technique, we should think. Sometimes the research scholar come to me and they say, sir, please, I want to apply the structural equation modeling. So I say we cannot apply the structural equation modeling because the conditions, and you did not prepare your question according to structural equation modeling. If you want to apply multiple regression analysis, so we should go through our questionnaires or some literature review. How did they prepare the questions for multiple regression analysis? So before applying, because it's a plan, basically research design, it's a plan, we should think in advance. So when we want to conduct any research, like we want to apply mediation technique, moderation technique, then we should think how to prepare question for mediation and moderation, how to prepare our question for structural equation modeling, how to prepare our question for confirmatory factor analysis, how to prepare question for conjoint analysis, multi-dimensional scaling. Technique, it is meant from whether which data in non-metric form. So this is about the now second thing that is we should understand the descriptive statistics also. So descriptive statistics, basically descriptive. So as a novice researcher, we do not need to understand the whole statistics. If we understand the concept of descriptive statistics, it is enough, and we can publish our journals in ABDC journals. Okay, we can publish our research paper in Emerald, Sage Publication, Francis Taylor, elsewhere. So all reputed journals we can we can send our research paper there. So we do not need to worry about the statistics. So only we should have idea of descriptive statistics. So the what is the descriptive statistic? Means central tendency, mean, median, mode. And second is, when I talk about the descriptive statistic, it means I am talking about central tendency, measures of dispersion, distribution. Okay, so what is the, it's a very easy. Central tendency means we check the observations. For example, I want to measure the heart rate score of the person. So I am taking 9 participants. This, so how will I check the mean value of the heart rate score of 9 participants? This I will add all the participants, 9 participants heart rate score, and then divide by 9. Okay, so the someone is 70, 71, 74, 80, 73. These are the heart rate score of 9 participants, and then I divide by 9. Then what is the mean value? That is 73.11. So this is mean value. So we can find mean value to, and the median, when we divide our we prepare our data in ascending or descending order. The middle value, that is 73, it is known as the median. Median tell us the 50% observation below this point and 50% observation above this point. Why should we do study mean, median, and mode? Because unless we understand the nature of the data, so we can predict easily. So if we want to know something, we should study our data. We should understand the mean value, median value, mode value, because in a decision making we should have idea about these values. So median value, for example, the one institute is claiming that the mean salary of the student, 10 lakh rupees. Okay, 10 lakh rupees, the mean salary. This is mean salary. So I told you mean, that is the hypothetical value. Mean is hypothetical. So I am taking observation of 10 participants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is the 10. The 10 lakh means mean value. Someone value is the one participant's value, that is 50 lakhs, and another participant's value, the package is 40 lakhs. So 50 plus 40, how much? The 90. Only 2 people are getting 9, and rest of the people salary is 1.5 lakh, 2.5 lakh, and this. So it is tell about the consistency of the data. If now we can see here, so this mean value not giving us the clear picture. So what will we do? Because so we will take the mean value, median value. So median value means 1.5, 2.25, 3 lakhs, and so on. So we can say the for example, median value 4 lakh. So we will say the 50% students are getting less than 4 lakh salary, and 50% getting the more than 4 lakh. But through mean is saying the every student are getting, is getting the 10 lakh salary. So then we should study the, okay, voice breaking, there may be problem हो सकती है. The other is this is and the median mode means maximum frequencies. So when we talk about the maximum frequency, it means the how many students are getting the salary. So through this analysis, we can understand the nature of the data. The it's a central tendency, and then second is second value, that is second value. Uh, Second is the measures of dispersion. What does it mean? Measures of dispersion. We should understand. Measures of dispersion means the measures of dispersion means the range. I'm talking about the variation of the data. So there are in a measures of dispersion: range, interquartile range, standard deviation, and variance. Because unless we study the data, we should not take decision. So in this heart rate score, the 64 lowest and highest is this. So what is the range? Highest minus lowest. So the range of this group 18. If 18 heart rate score range, if other group range is 30, it means the variation of the data is more here. The variability of the data more. So this is one way to understand the concept of range, and after that we understand the concept of standard deviation and variance. So another is quartile. Quartile tell us about the dispersion of the data in a particular range. This is the range, heart rate score range. You can see here. In this case, we divide in a four quarter one, and this is median, and this is third quarter. Okay, so it's a dispersonness of the data. For example, the data 0 to 100. Okay, 0 to 100, the score of the particular test, 0 to 100. So the first quartile means the 25% obtain marks in this range. It may be 30, and the 50% students obtain marks 30 to 60, and only 25% student above the 60. So through quartile, we can understand the how many people in a median, how many people in upper quartile, how many people in lower quartile. Same as we can divide our observation into decile, means 10 divisions, and in percentile we divide into 100. Okay, so this is about the and the second is uh, after this, the standard deviation. It is very important concept, the variance or standard deviation. So variance basically how the particular individual away from the other. So the heart rate score, that is when we take the variance. So I'm showing you the another slide for variance to understand the concept of variance. This is the descriptive statistics. Now you can see this slide. Please, this I think this one. Is it visible? I think it is visible, this slide. The descriptive statistics. Okay. Okay. I think you can see this slide. So the descriptive statistics, now you can see here, there are in a descriptive statistics, the central tendency, these are the score of the participants. The first participant score 70, another participant score 70, heart rate score, and these are the score. Then how will we calculate the mean value? We take all the observations sum and then divide by this. So the second thing that it is about the central tendency. I'm talking about the variance and the other, the term. Hello. Uh, प्लीज अपना वीडियो ऑफ कर लीजिए. ओके ओके, थैंक यू. ओके, so I was discussing about the variance. So in a variance, the 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 mean value, you can take it here. I'm talking about the variance. So in these are the heart rate score of 9 participants and deviation from the individual, like this. These are the score 1 participants. This one mean value 73.11. This mean value, and the first observation 70, another 71. These are the respondents. So it is deviate from the mean minus 3.11, minus 0.211, and when we take the add all these things, we will obtain 0. So this deviation does not tell us anything. So what will we do? We square of this 9.67, square of this, and then it's a sample squared deviation and the value of this. So we can understand the variability of the data. Lower the value of the lower the data more consistent. Now here you can see here the data. When we take the square root, the variance, this it's a variance, and it's a the standard deviation means when we take the square root of this, it's a 5.53. What does it tell is where the variance and the other standard deviation tell us about the variation of the data. For example, because the mean value, like the first observation 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 9 observation. So what is the mean value? 135 upon 9, that is this. So now you can see when all the observations, the mean value, the x bar, that is 15, when all values lie here, so we can say the data is more consistent because all the observations are like on this. Now the second is the 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So what is the mean value? Again, that is 15, and the third condition 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Again mean value 15, but in second case the variability is more. Here the mean value 15, so the variability of the data you can see, and in the third case, so the value 3, 6, 9, and so on. So these two values deviate from the mean value. So to know whether my data is consistent or not, so we can understand through the variance, because mean value same. So we through mean value we cannot understand the depth knowledge of our data. So it is necessary to understand the concept of standard deviation and the other, that is standard deviation and variance. Okay. Now I was discussing about the I'm sharing my slide. This my PPT. I think you can see now this PPT. So this is about the variance. Now third thing is the distribution, normal distribution. We should have idea of distribution also. What does it mean, the term distribution? So please see it, the distribution. So there are two types of distribution. The one is the distribution, that is in a descriptive statistics, descriptive descriptive statistics. One is central tendency. Second, measures of dispersion, and third is distribution. Distribution means I'm talking about skewness and kurtosis. What does it mean, skewness or and kurtosis? So basically, sometimes what happen when we prepare our questions, my question is, I'm preparing my question in a Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale. So my question is, I like I like this product. This is my simple question. And there are five options. One, two, three, four, and five. They strongly disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. Sometimes what happens, people tick when you distribute your survey, you give your question, you conduct the survey and you distribute your questionnaire. So either people tick 1, 2, 1, 2, or they tick 4, 5, 4, 5. It's a big problem. If maximum people are ticking out of 100, my sample size is 100, and this is the y-axis. So the y-axis. So the y-axis frequencies. So I'm taking frequencies in a y-axis, and the x means the five options in a, okay. So ये देखिए एक मिनट. Okay, so I'm preparing the question in a distribution. My question is, I like this product. Please see it again. My question, I like this product. In my survey report, there may be 10, 20, 13, 14, 50 questions maybe. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I told you. So there are strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. Sometimes what happens, maximum people tick either 1, 2, 1, 2. So what happens, the here y-axis, it's a frequency, like 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. Like the option 1 ticked by 30, and option 2 28 people. So and the option 3 only 15 people. So maximum people ticked either 1 or 2. So my graph would look like this. So this, if my graph is look like, so it's a positive skewness. It's a positive skewness. If maximum people are ticking 4, 5, 4, 5 in my survey, so the maximum frequency in a right hand side, so my graph would look like this. So it's a negative skewness, which is not desirable. Ultimately, we need this type, bell shape means ganti ki shape, we need this type of graph. So it is the bell shaped graph. This is desirable for us. So it's a problem. So the through distribution means skewness. Through skewness, we can understand the type of the whether my data are positively skewed or negatively skewed. And second thing in a distribution, that is kurtosis. Kurtosis again tell us about the nature of data. For example, there are, if sample size is less and if my graph look like this, then this is known as the platykurtic graph. If the people observations like this is known as the mesocultic. If more observations, then my graph would look like this. This is a leptocultic graph. So we should understand the nature of the question, whether the graph is uh, the leptocultic, platycultic, or schizophrenic. Now, this is about the idea of descriptive statistics. Now, sometimes we need to understand the students ask the question related to the sample size. What should be the sample size of our research paper? So it's a sample size. There is a formula to determine the sample size of the data. So I'm showing you the sample size determination table here. Now, the how to determine the sample size? You can see this the formula. So the sample size, when if we want to determine what should be the sample size of the what should be the sample size of the data. So there is a formula. This is the formula. We can calculate the sample size of the our research paper or thesis. N equal to x square into n into p into 1 minus p upon this. So if we have these values, sample size, chi-square, population size, population proportion, and design margin of error, then we can identify easily the sample size. But it is very difficult to find these value. Generally, in a social science, we use non-probability procedure, means convenience sampling. We select our respondent on the basis of our choice. So what we do, so this is a sample size. If the sample size is 1 lakh, okay, and I want to conduct, what should be the sample size? This table given by the Cohen. So we can report if the 5% the margin level, means 5% is margin of error, confidence interval, and the population more than 1 lakh, that is 384. 384 means sample size. In a Delhi University, in a graduation, how many students are studying? So Delhi University has more than 80 colleges or maybe 100. So the total students may be 1 lakh. Okay. So 1 lakh students. So what should be the sample size? If you are conducting research on buying behavior pattern of Delhi University students, then what should be the sample size? So you can take sample size 384, because the sample size, the 384 desirable to represent the whole population here. So this is the criteria. If your in a medical science, when your sample size is very less, you have the less patient numbers, like 200, then you should take a sample of 132 degree, 132 sample size, and 95% means the 5% means when we are taking 100 sample mean from the particular population, then there may be possibility that only 5 sample mean away from the sample, 5 sample mean will not come into the particular range. So this is the confidence interval. In a confidence interval, now you can see the confidence interval. The confidence interval, basically I'm creating the lower limit and upper limit. This is confidence. 95% means the only 2.5% may below this range, and 2.5% may be above this range. Okay, so in a sample size, for example, the 100 people here, and I'm taking one sample mean heart rate score of one sample, and this sample mean the mean sample, that is for example, mean sample is the 73. Okay, the mean value of heart rate score. I am taking 5 people and measuring the and taking the mean of this 5 people. So the what should be the range? So there is a range. Okay, so we have the formula to find. For example, the range is 60 to 80. Okay, not 60. Chalo, we can 60. The range is 60 to 80. So if I'm checking 100 sample, so 95 sample mean will lie in this region. Okay, only 5% maybe chance, 2.5% chance may be outside this lower limit, and 2.5% the sample mean of the 5 people heart rate score the above the 80 and the below the 60. So this is about the concept of sample mean. Okay, so if you have any query now, you can so please you can ask. If you have any query, then it's open for you. You can write or because some people written here if they want to join the group. So please uh, uh, please give me your number. Please WhatsApp me. Okay. Okay, you can WhatsApp me. I will add you. Now, if you have any query, please you can ask me. You unmute yourself and you can ask. Tomorrow I will take. Tomorrow I will take the SPSS. Tomorrow I will start.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening,
Good
madam.
evening, sir. Sir, my query is actually related to your calculation of population size. Suppose if my population is unknown, in that case, how we will calculate the population size, sample size?
Yes, yes, it is very difficult, madam. That is why I told you, if we do not know, then we should use the table. इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि अगर हमारे पास एग्जैक्टली नंबर नहीं है, then we should take the help of जो टेबल है, we should determine our sample size on the basis of the given table. So you use the table and then you can take the sample.
But table पे भी तो
Any other question?
Sir, in that table it is given na कि there is a fixed number of population size. So if that population is unknown, suppose we are not confirmed about our population size. In that case, how we will calculate?
देखिए मैडम, अगर आप
Yes,
स्टडी
sir.
कर रही हैं, जैसे मैं लिसन में,
Yes.
if I am conducting study in Lucknow, okay, and I know there is a population approximately students. Lucknow University almost 2 lakh students enrolled here. So it's not exact. I do not know exact population, but if I idea about the population above this, then we should take the help of the table. Or second is the table population. If you are confirmed, if this population is less, for example, I want to conduct a study on nursing homes in particular city, so I have idea about, we can take secondary data from the offices, there how many the nursing home in the particular region, so we can take this. Yes, any question?
Sir, can we use
Yes,
G power formula?
मैडम फॉर्मूले के लिए आपके पास you need to value. If you have all the values, then you can use the formula. If you do not have all the values, then you should not use the formula directly. You can take the help of the table. That is why this table is very reliable to conduct the study.
In my research, I am looking for mechanics in Karnataka.